afternoon. As I'm sitting here thinking about Father's Day, right? Uh, Congratulations and happy Father's Day, all the fathers out there, and those who have stepped in as fathers. And so, it's making me think about those fathers that were or have been or are deliberately disincluded from the lives of their children. I know there's times when fathers, things come up, or sometimes they may give up, but we have to remember that there's not a blueprint out there on how to be a parent. Not for a mother, not for a father. There are fathers out there that are trying to do the right thing, and they're being deliberately disincluded from their children's lives, for one reason or another. But we have to remember that it's not our say all the time, whether the father should be deliberately disincluded from the lives of their children. When we talk about deliberate disinclusion, we want to make sure that we give it some context when it comes to Father's Day. When I say deliberate disinclusion, I mean, because the example I would like to give is just because your children's fathers or dads may not have been the right suit or match for you in your relationship does not mean that they should be uh, deliberately disincluded from their children's lives. For me, for example, I have two children, and I have two fathers for my children. And I learned from my first child, Morgan, on how things should be with my second child, Legacy. And one thing that I have and I did see was, while I did try my best to give Morgan's dad the opportunity to be in her life, and he made the choices not to. When I was younger, I made it very, very difficult for him to be able to be in her life, even though he could have made, in my opinion, he could have made time. However, it was very important that Legacy and his father had that connection. And as I've gotten older and more mature, I see that, um, just as much as I love my children, I know that their fathers love them just as much. And as a mom or as the other parent, you have to realize that deliberately disincluding the fathers from those relationships could backfire, because kids don't stay kids forever. And so when we talk about deliberate disinclusion, we're talking about on purpose, deliberately disincluding someone or something from somebody else. And so fatherhood is about being present. It's not perfection. Nobody's perfect. Me as a parent, I'm definitely like not perfect, but I strive every day to be the best mother I can be. Why not give our fathers that opportunity, right? I'm not talking about everybody's circumstances, because I don't know everybody's circumstances. However, those individuals that can, they should be able to be given an opportunity. Now, I know dads out there that they missed the boat, in their other children's lives. They may have missed that opportunity. But some have turned it around and said, you know what? Just because I mess up on this opportunity, I've been given a second chance. So I'm not gonna mess this one up. I'm gonna take the lessons that I learned, and I'm gonna turn that whole thing around. And I remember growing up seeing quite a few families where the fathers were removed for one reason or another. Gonna leave that alone. But it's our time to break those curses, those generational curses, because so many men have been raised by just one parent, their moms, and you know they just don't know. They just don't know. So other people have to take that upon themselves to step in to change that for them. Show them what it really means to be a man, a father, an uncle, whatever it takes. Because leadership begins at home. And so even if you don't have or you have not had that type of father figure, seek that leadership, whether it's in church, whether it is, in a boys program, young men's program. I met somebody the other day who was doing a week conference with young men on teaching them how to tie their ties, their mannerisms, teaching them the basics because they don't have that in their lives, which I thought was amazing. And they do it year and year and year and year and year and year. So imagine if they start and then they do it, they become, the men that run it, and it just keeps going on and on and on. So one of the things that I want to say is that if you are in any type of father figure, if you have any type of capacity or anything like that to sow into somebody's life, even if you have a friend that is not doing right when it comes to their children, step up, call them out, because you can't complain about being deliberately disincluded when you haven't been there. Okay? So if you have a story that you want to share, if you have an experience, I want to hear about it. Type it in the comments so we can all see that we're just not, on an island by ourselves. While I did fill the role, I tried my best to fill the role of two parents for my daughter. You know, I'm a mom. I am a mom. And so I cannot teach or show the part that a man or a father needs to be able to show their child. So if you have a story that has, been inspirational to you, or something that turned around, or, you were deliberately disincluded, but we got to make sure that we check ourselves. But I understand that there are situations where people have been deliberately disincluded. So if you do have a story, good, bad, indifferent, share it. Put it down in the comments, or you can send me a message on one of my platforms, and I can reach out to you, or I can have my husband reach out to you, and because he is a man of God and he has a great heart. So just I just wanted to get on here today and just talk about being deliberately disincluded on Father's Day, and some of the reasons why people being excluded. There's no manual, you know, um, leadership beginning at home, and turning that exclusion into purpose. And so, have a great day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and we'll talk again soon. Thanks. Bye.